everyone, and welcome back to the Limitless Potential Show. I'm your host, Vanessa Jane Patrick, and today we have yet another phenomenal guest. We have Alison Armstrong. So let me give you a little introduction before I bring her on. Very excited. So Alison's exploration of human behaviour began in 1991 with her decision to study men to find out how she was bringing out the worst in them and hopefully how she could learn to bring out the best. Her success in understanding men naturally led to studying women's behaviour and making vital connections between the two. Alison distinguishes human instincts that compel both men and women to behave in ways that contradict and undermine our own purposes, goals, values, needs, and relationships. She offers partnership-based alternatives, giving millions of people access to more fulfilling lives, loving relationships, stronger families, and productive organizations. Alison is a sought-after speaker and thought leader amongst people with the desire to live empowered lives, like I know each and every one of you guys are. And her philosophy and approach is frequently referenced and taught by other authors, speakers, business consultants, and therapists. Towards the end, I'm going to give you more details about how to check out the beautiful work of Alison, and you can go to her website, understandmen.com. All right, without further ado, why don't we bring her on and let's do it. Here is one and only Alison Armstrong.
Thank you, Vanessa. That's nice.
So good to have you, and I'm sure you've heard your introduction a billion times. You're probably getting tired of it, but it's so beautiful to have you here, and I know you're in gorgeous Idaho on a bit of a road trip right now, so that's pretty cool.
It is. It's lovely. What a treat.
Awesome, awesome. So I want to start off by asking you my first question, which I ask everybody, which is, what are you most grateful for in your life right now?
Oh, wow. Okay, this is going to sound very strange. What I'm most grateful for are the lessons that my husband passing a year ago has brought me. That's what I'm the most grateful for.
Wow.
It's like a treasure chest.
Wow, I'm really feeling that one, and it's so beautiful because I can feel your heart in what you just said then. And can I ask you, what did he teach you about yourself that's been of greatest value?
Well, there's about me, and then there's about life and death. And about me, it would be that I am love. I am it. It's not something I have to search for. It's something not something I have to work at. It's not something scarce. It's not outside of me that I've got to attract. It's who I am. And so in that, I'm whole, right? Even in his absence and everything that he provided for 28 years, I'm whole. So that would be the answer to that one. Can I tell you the other two?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, what an amazing lesson, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. The second is that, and this is so important to relationships, right? I mean, I have been teaching for, almost 20 years from the dictionary definition of relationship, which the dictionary definition of relationship is an instance of being related. Basically, the dictionary says there's no such thing as a relationship. You can't have a relationship. Relationships don't exist anywhere. There's just this instance of being related, and this instance of being related, and this instance of being related. And then the human mind puts them all together, puts a label on it, right? Puts a label on it, generalizes. We describe what my relationship is. Really show me your relationship. Come on, where is it? Where is it? Show it to me, right? No, they don't exist. And so I've known for ages that the quality of a relationship is going to have everything to do with who am I being and who are you being in this instance of being related. And Greg passed suddenly, like completely unexpected, not predictable, not anything, just 1 minute we're talking, the next minute he's gone. And it had me see that any time I spend in the future, like what's going to happen next and what's going to happen next year and what do I want to do for this, what do I want to do for that, and COVID has done this for everybody, it's a hallucination. Anytime I'm spending in the future, I am spending in hallucination. But we act like it's already there. Like I could give any date and we'll behave as if that day actually exists in the future. No. So his disappearance, if you will, just had me see everything that I had pictured was going to happen in a marriage I thought that was going to last another 23 years. It's a really interesting number.
Yeah.
Right? That was that all the time I spent in the future cost me being in the present, cost me being with him in the present, and all my plans for the future, and all my striving for the future, and all my trying to control, right, and organize the future. I mean, it's not bad from a creative standpoint, from generating your own life, just as long as we don't buy that it's real, right? That it exists. So being in the present and therefore much more present to love, right? To being loved, to feeling love, to sharing love, definitely an outcome. I mean, that was, what a lesson. And then the lesson he's given me about death is, that's also an interesting illusion. He still communicates with me regularly. He still communicates with me. He's still meddling in my life. He's still providing for me. He's still, he's still, he took over the wheel of the car a few weeks ago and saved me from a head-on collision. The veil is extremely thin. Heaven is so much closer to earth than we have any idea of. And so he's not gone from the universe. People who pass from this frequency, if you will, they're not gone from our lives or from the universe.
Alison, I had absolutely no idea the course that our conversation was going to take today. It's the reason why I don't really like to pre-plan too much. I like to really go with the flow because you've absolutely touched my heart so deeply. Just feeling into that level of gratitude and love that you have, and what you talk of with having that presence of Greg still in your life. I can see, because so many people, when they lose their partners or loved ones, or just going through a breakup, that's a grieving process in itself. We focus on the loss. So what do you have to say for people out there who maybe they've lost a partner or someone close to them, or maybe just going through a breakup and they're going through that grief and they're suffering because of the loss that they feel that they're having, and to have such beautiful wisdom and heart come out of what you're saying now, and that gratitude, what words of wisdom do you feel could really resonate for them?
Well, I think that you're right in that they're very similar. Whether someone leaves our life voluntarily or involuntarily, whether it was their decision or our decision, there are a lot of similarities. And one of the things that I recommend about for people who are in the middle of a breakup or have experienced a breakup, whether they initiated it or not, Because even when we initiate it, we still have grief.
Absolutely.
It's just one of the things that I've learned is that women tend to grieve ahead of time, right? So as a woman is not getting what she needs from the man in her life, the future that she was envisioning is disappearing, right? So what she hoped for when she was in love with him and respected him and admired him and felt like she was getting what she needed from him, that whole future that, she wanted to last forever, as she's not getting what she needs, as she's losing respect and admiration, it literally retreats, right? It gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And as she becomes what I call a short timer, right? Like I can only do this for maybe another year. I can only do this for a couple more months. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
As that future is contracting, she's grieving. You can see it in her. She's experiencing the loss as it's happening. And men wonder why women can move on so quickly. And it's because the grieving process happened before the actual breakup date. And so the breakup date is the date of being set free, right? The loss has already been processed, and now here's this date of being set free. And men have been shocked when I've told them about that because they had no idea, because they mostly don't recognize it when it's happening because of the instincts that compel us in the area of communication, make us very ineffective at communicating this is bad, this is very bad, this is bad beyond putting up with it. We don't communicate that well. So most men don't see it coming when she generates a breakup. And women don't see it coming because, again, the instincts, which are basically don't ask and don't tell, that's the compulsion about anything that we need. To reveal a need is to reveal a weakness or a vulnerability. So don't ask. When you need information, you're supposed to be psychic and already know, right? Don't tell that you have a need. Don't ask for a need to be met. There's, oh man, don't ask, don't tell. If we just flip to that one thing, do ask, do tell, do state the obvious, do ask what people mean by that, be curious, don't assume you know. So what happens for men is that they'll need something, right? And getting that can go from really difficult to get to then a point where they realize they give up on getting it. And for one of the things that typically happens is that there are men in the stage we call prince who've given up on getting things they need from like their wife, and they just adapt. They just live without it. But then when men go through what we call the tunnel, or what's in the States at least considered a midlife crisis, on the other side of that, there are things that they have given up on getting that they're no longer willing to live without. No, I'm not going to live without this anymore. And it doesn't occur to them to go back to their wife and say, I gave up on this. I'm not willing to live without it. So you want to be that person for me or not? They don't think of that. They've already decided if she was willing to give it, she would have already given it. They're still not asking. They're still not making it clear this is what this is all about. And so for both men and women, we're left mystified, right? Mystified at the end of a relationship. And my assertion, and it's been interesting how this is applied to my marriage, my assertion is that a relationship that isn't working for one person isn't working for both people. It's never one-sided. And so whichever end you are, to me, the breakup is just initiated by the person who speaks up first, by the person who gives up first, right? But it's not working for either person. There's no such thing as he was perfect for me and I lost him. Yeah. No, if he was perfect to you, you couldn't lose him, right? Or men, will leave a woman saying, I'm not the right person for you, right? he's more focused on he's not the right person for her instead of, oh, that means she's not the right person for me. Right? So I think breakups are an excellent opportunity to evaluate what did I need that I'd given up on getting, that I didn't commit to myself, right? Like, I mean, in our partnership work, I propose, what if everything you really need that you're not getting, you've never committed to? What if you've never committed to it? What if you're fishing for someone else to commit to it before you've committed to it, right? So seeing what we've given up on that we need, seeing what we've put up with that cost us respect and admiration and affinity for that person, but we put up with it anyway. Seeing what we never asked for, like everything that I needed. Well, did I ask for it? Did I follow up on that? Did I make it perfectly clear? Yeah. Did I ask what they needed to give it to me? Right? Like really pursuing how did this, like learn from it, right? Learn from everything about an ended relationship is worth learning from. And I remember my daughter was so sweet. Thank goodness. Greg had passed maybe a month before, and I was so mad at him. and my eldest daughter had called me, and she's like, "Oh, so Mom, how you doing?" I'm saying, "I'm having a mad at Dad week." That's how I'm doing. I'm really, really mad at Dad. I'm so angry with him. And I was afraid because they were really close. I was afraid. So I'm sorry, honey, but that's just where I'm at. And she's like, "Oh, thank God, Mom. He made me so angry." And we got to commiserate, right? Co-misery, shared misery. We got to commiserate about the things about her father and my husband that infuriated us, right? And they were things that I had put up with for almost 30 years. And it had never occurred to me to not put up with it, right? It just never occurred to me until it was over. And I was like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
And so anyhow, I'll let you speak, but it's been interesting because he's been sending men to me. He always wanted me to remarry, so he's been sending men to me, and he's been paying attention to my outbursts because he's been upgrading. Like, what did she love about me? Let's make sure he has those qualities. And then what drove her crazy about me? Okay, we can fix that.
I like it. How funny. Oh my gosh. I feel like a couple of my boyfriends did that for me because there was an upgrade at different times, but surely not. So much just came up for me that I wanted to, like, I was like this question and that question, and I've got a bunch, but I wanted to just narrow down. No, I want you to keep talking. I just want to ask you more questions so I get more out of you. But what I wanted to ask, just to basically on what you just said just then, with having that anger, like the other side of relationship, like there's all the benefits, but there's also all the drawbacks. Yes. Like everything's always in balance. Would you say that that's true, or would you, like, is that how you're able to be at a point right now, which from my own experience is quite rare? The level of gratitude and heart and love and almost like an acceptance of reality, right? You're not living in the future or the past, you're present. But basically so many people, I spoke about the ones who are suffering or grieving, and they are focusing on everything that they have lost in terms of everything that was great is lost. Yes. And they're missing, well, what about all the crap I'm glad I don't have to deal with anymore, sort of thing, and yes. and by acknowledging that other side, it sounds like you can come into this balance, like of reality as it is in the present moment, to be able to get to a place of gratitude, obviously with time and healing and everything. But is that part of the equation?
Well, I think there's two ways that's relevant, Vanessa. One is what we call the front of the hand and the back of the hand. And so if you think of it like this, at the front of the hand is a quality that you need from somebody, right? The back of the hand is what goes with that.
Yeah.
Right? And if you try to take away the back of the hand, there's no front of the hand. So let's say you need someone who has the quality of being thoughtful. They're very thoughtful. Well, the back of the hand is they don't make snap decisions. So to be like, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, right?
Yeah.
That's unrealistic, right? Or when I met Greg, what I needed so badly was someone who was financially responsible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had found that my muscle in the area of financial responsibility was enough for my single life, and I was a mother, right? But I could deal with mine and ours, and I was very responsible about it. But if someone came into my life who was financially irresponsible, I couldn't cause them to be, I couldn't support them in being it, I couldn't put up with them not being it, right? I couldn't deal with that. And so I got very clear out of that by an engagement that got ended over that, and a bunch of dishonesty associated with it. And so financial responsibility was like, it was one of, in the top 10 on my list, right? Loves me, loves my son, thinks I'm beautiful and tells me so often. Financial integrity and financially responsible. I think it probably was like that.
Yeah.
And so Greg shows up, right? And Mr. Financial Responsibility, right? CPA, started a 401k when he was 37 years old. His first response to any dollar was save it. Just save it. Every single dollar. Save it. Honey, what do you think we should do with this tax, with our tax refund? Save it. Honey, you got a raise. What should we do? Save it. Oh, you sold a car. What should you do with it? Buy another car. That's the only. Vehicle money got recycled into vehicle money. Once it was a vehicle, always a vehicle, a car or a motorcycle. So I needed the front of the hand, right? So it would have been unrealistic. It would have been unfair for me to complain about, oh, you're such a cheapsake. You'll never spare for. Do you know, like, it wouldn't have been fair, and it wouldn't have been accurate. Because anything that I said I needed, he's like, okay, you should get it, right? You need, you get, right? That's how he related to me. So whatever it is, like some people, it's like you want a hard body, right? You want a hard body man. But you want him to sleep in on Sunday morning and snuggle. Why has he got to ride his bike miles, right? He's supposed to keep his hard body hard in time that doesn't belong to you.
Exactly.
Right? Because that time belongs to you. That's my time. Don't you be working out on my time, right? But we're that way. Like, we want them to be generous, but just with us, not with everybody. Why do you take care of everybody? Or we want them to be family oriented, but just our nuclear family. Why are you always dealing with your cousins? We want them to be ambitious, but not gone all the time. Right? And an ambitious man who is home by 6 o'clock. Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't work weekends. Who leaves his cell phone, someplace else. Like, so that front of the hand and back of the hand, I think, is where we get the love and frustration, because we're not willing to accept this goes with, right? This is part and parcel. So be with it, right? Yeah. And it's really cute, Vanessa, because as you ask that question, right, my sweetheart, who's on this road trip with me, had just walked in. And so the first example I gave was about him. It'll be interesting to think what he thought of that, because he's very thoughtful.
Ah. But you're
And a
like a
snap
bit like this.
not, it's not going to happen. No, 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 no. No, chillax, Alison.
Yeah.
Just chillax. It'll be a great decision. It'll be slow and coming. It's going to be like a fine whiskey. So that's really funny. But so that would be the one side of why we get this and ah. But I think another thing is, I think it's true in loss, whether like in a death or in a breakup. For me, that period of time where I was really, really mad at Greg, it protected me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? It was like this layer of protection from grief that I wasn't ready to experience yet. It would have been too much. It just would have been too much. And so that angry part, which kind of buys this sort of bubble of, I don't care. I'm better off without that person, right? So focusing on all the things that really ticked us off, I think it's a kind of shield. But I think that's all it is. Do you know, I don't think it's real or long lasting. If we hang on to it, if we feed it, we're going to be in deep trouble. If we just like have a little bit of grace behind that shield for a bit, but then let it dissolve. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. When we're ready, when we're ready.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is a hard part about grieving, I think. Again, in either circumstance, I was stunned. 10 months after Greg passed, began a period of grieving for me as intense, it felt like, as when he had passed. Like, wait, I thought I was beyond this part. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that can happen in any kind of loss. Mm-hmm.
Is that sort of because when you're kind of ready for it, or it comes up, maybe you're not even conscious of what you're suppressing, with that anger that you feel like it's that shield, and then, there's all that sadness, there's all that grief underneath at some point.
Well, I think that's part of it, but there's also, if I can use an analogy, a lot of my work has been about healing, freedom, restoration. So healing the injuries and dishonor and betrayals of the past. Mm-hmm. And so I end up being involved with people who work to heal their own wounds for years and decades. And often they're frustrated that it's been 30 years and I'm still working on this. And right. And what I propose is that those moments in our life that end up leaving those kinds of wounds, they came with a shock, right? And how our mind reacted to that event is to the energy around it and the significance around it. Wow, this is really important. We better remember this so this doesn't happen again. So let's make about 40 copies of this lesson, put one under the bed, one in the back of the freezer, one in the glove compartment, one keyworded to spinach, one keyworded to Jimmy, key song to Jimmy Buffett, key scented to lavender, right? Like we have so many copies of that wound. And so when we do release work, we are releasing one copy, right? And then another trigger brings it back and we think, oh, crud, this is the same old thing? No, just welcome. Oh, thank you. Another copy I get to dispose of. Okay. And what if that's how the mind works,
Yeah.
right? And and for me, with Greg passing, last 2 months before he died, I was at home, which was highly unusual for me to be home for 2 months without leaving, traveling to teach somewhere. And so when we hit that 10-month mark, right now we were in the season, the last 2 months that I spent with him, right? Springtime in the country, irrigating the hayfield, dealing with the snow melt and the mud and like everything that had happened from April to June. Nature was triggering, right? Nature, and then Mother's Day, and right, all these kinds of things that, oh, this was the week we spent planting aspens. This was like, it was just trigger after trigger after trigger because of the calendar and because of nature. And so, it brought back more things to appreciate, to spend time with, and then also that sense of, wow, that's never going to happen again. Bummer. Wish I'd known that at the time, right? If I'd known this was the last time we were going to do that, it goes back to what I said in the beginning. If I hadn't been hallucinating, this is normal and it's going to continue for decades, I would have been more present to that moment and appreciated it more.
Absolutely. And it's so beautiful that that's kind of the theme of our conversation, I feel right now, is this presence, not being stuck in the future and not just mindlessly going through life and just thinking we're going to have everything we want in the future and we're aiming towards the future, but we miss all the present. We don't know what's coming tomorrow. A question I wanted to ask you, because of the whole global pandemic right now, we've all been kind of forced to go, hang on a minute, the future I thought and the life that I thought I had, this is all changing. So the question that I have for you is really, what do you see as the biggest challenges being faced by men and women in relationships? And that might be different for both of them. I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's some crossover with just being a human being. But that's ultimately, what are those challenges that are being amplified by the current global climate with COVID-19?
Yeah. Well, there's the part that you referred to about the future and the varying degrees of certainty that people need of false control, right? A false sense of control. And so a lot of the planners and schedulers have been completely disrupted, right? That you make even if you're not afraid to travel, you make an airline reservation and it gets changed 4 times by the airline because they're only flying when they have enough cargo to pay for the flight. So, oops, don't have enough cargo for that. So that flight's canceled. You're moved to this one. Oh no, don't have one for that either. So you're moved from that one from this one. And so certainty out the window, and which is one of the things that made a road trip a good idea. I get to decide when I go. I get to decide. And so there's that part, and then there's this thing I want to tell you, Vanessa, and then I'll answer the other part of the question.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Neil Dwoskin's work, the Sedona Method?
No, I don't think so.
Given your community, what they're into, I strongly recommend that you check it out. His work is all about, you could say, letting go.
Yeah.
And he just about every day invents another way to let go with very little effort. Stunning how little effort. And one of his releases has saved me during that really difficult period of time, because the question, I'll say it slowly if people want to write it down. The question is, could you let go of wanting to identify with what was or what might be? Could you let go, wanting to identify with what was or what might be? And the word identify to me is the most important one, besides what was and what might be, because identify comes from identity, which is where identical comes from. Identical twins, right? So the purpose of the identity is to keep everything the same, especially to keep our sense of self the same. This is who I am, right? So, for example, wanting to identify with I'm Greg's wife, right? I'm part of the Greg and Alison show, right? Right? I'm that married woman with the legendary marriage that's benefited so many with the Greg, right? And that's what he was even called, the Greg. And everything that life was with him, wanting to identify that that's who I am. And then the life is gone and the trying to grasp to continue to go, but that's who I am, that's who I am, that's who I am, right? Or wanting to identify with that future we're hallucinating, what might be. Well, I'm the person with that ambition. I'm the person, well, you know me. I'm the one who's always dreamt about, right? It's like, that's been my dream my whole life. And that's where we experience loss, right? Is because we've wrapped up our concept of ourselves in that hallucinated future, right? Or that hallucinated past. And so anytime I've been a wreck in the last few months, I just stop and go, okay, which one is it? Am I wanting to identify with what was my life with Greg? Or am I wanting to identify with what might be? Right? And grasping for certainty when I know there is none available. I need to get over that, right?
Yeah.
So that anyhow, just that being present, that's my number one thing that has me keep coming back to the present, is by noticing, am I in what was or am I in what might be? And as soon as I recognize that, I'm just back right now. This is all I got right now. Okay, so back to your question about men and women and the pandemic.
Yeah.
One of the biggest differences that I've seen is the perception of a threat. So hugely, like as a percentage, way more women perceive the threat as the virus itself. Okay, becoming sick, becoming ill, potentially dying, or being contagious, and I'd never forgive myself if I infected another person, right? Whereas men, from the very beginning, the virus is just a circumstance. Like, it's just another circumstance. The real threat is to their ability to provide for their families. The real threat is their ability to protect the retirement fund that's going to provide for their family, protect the college fund, So this is where economics have become such a big part of everything, because that's the perceived threat to men as protectors and providers. It's not the virus, the dangers in the reactions to the virus. And that's why they get really wound up and express themselves sometimes very loudly, right?
Yeah.
And so a woman is upset, honey, wait, let me spray you down with 70% alcohol. Oh, wow, right? And then she's like, she won't stop ranting about the economy. Doesn't he understand I need to feel connected to him, to feel safe, because I'm so scared of the virus. I just need him to hold me, and he won't stop bitching about the economy.
Come on. Exactly.
So, I mean, I've known for ages, men and women have conflicting instincts. Literally, opposite sexes, we have opposing instincts. And it happens over and over and over again. The way that women try to connect causes a bigger disconnect, because it runs headlong into men's instincts. And I mean, I could give 1,000 examples of this. And when the coronavirus, like, when it came into my consciousness, I had uh-oh. And I call it stuck in the cave, So now we have opposing instincts stuck in the cave together.
Yeah.
Nobody gets to get out of it. Women aren't getting to go out and gather at leisure. They don't get to shop and fill their oxytocin account, which has them want to tend to other people and makes them available for intimacy and able to have climaxes and not dread physical contact, like all the things that we do to feed our own hormone balance, through the miracle of shopping.
That does it. Yeah.
We're getting to, fortunately, or unfortunately, most people are doing their own cleaning. So wiping down counters, that's good. That builds oxytocin. Vacuuming, all rhythmic hand motions build that vital hormone. So
Okay.
we're not doing as bad as we could in that department. But men's instinct to conquer, right? Conquer and kill and drag home and provide and women's instincts, every little thing is worth doing. So why is my husband sitting on the couch doing nothing? Men's instincts, little things are never worth doing. Only big things are worth doing. Give me something big to do. Give me an impact to make. Give me something to kill. I'm like, okay, look around. What could I kill? The poison ivy. I could kill the poison ivy this year. Finally, I'm gonna protect my family from poison ivy. And, or I could kill the ugly ceiling. One man's, completely doing this. So talking to women about, look, he's going to do big things. He's not going to do little things. You do the little things. Every one of them matters. Give them some big impacts to make. Have all your sentences start with, oh, honey, that made me so happy. You know what else would make the biggest impact in my life? The most important thing you could do is not, honey, here's 100 little tiny bunny rabbits to chase. No hunter wants to chase 100 little tiny bunny rabbits, right? No, honey, here's one big thing you could do for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot. I've been kept really busy. Really, really busy.
I bet. And it kind of brings me to, and I think you've kind of answered this in a few different ways. But when I read your bio, I was like, I'm sure it gets everybody intrigued, because you said that, what really brought you to the work that you do was that you felt like you were bringing the worst out in the men in your life, and you wanted to discover how to bring out the best. And
Yes.
I know you've mentioned, the do ask, do tell, kind of that understanding. But is there other things that you feel men and women listening to this right now, whether they're in relation, I don't even think of it as necessarily, you don't need to be in an intimate relationship to be able to treat the other sex in a great way, and also understand yourself at a deeper level. And before I ask the question, I just wanted to mention, I first learned a lot about your work, indirectly knowing about it being your work, but really through some of Tony Robbins' stuff. And I know that he's learnt so much from you, and he shares it. And that all of this stuff that you talk into it's so revolutionary. Like, some of it sounds kind of like, yeah, okay, and it's fun. Like, we can go, oh yeah, of course, and it's like, but it's so profound. And when you really start to see this stuff in your life, and how you operate, and those differences, instead of just treating everybody as the same person and projecting how we are into onto the other, and kind of expecting them to be that mind reader like you mentioned. What are some kind of specific strategies that men and women could be using for each other right now? I was almost going to say on each other, but for each other, to kind of bring out the best, and stop bringing out the worst. And particularly right now with this craziness.
Particularly right now. Okay. I have 100 hours of online education answering this question. So I'm going to try to pick a few things.
Yeah, just the number one, the big one, right? The just one for all the men out there.
Well, so given the circumstances, I would choose this one. Okay. So what has, so we call it hunting mode and gathering mode. Mm-hmm. And this is material that I've updated since Tony started teaching my Understanding Women material about 15 years ago. Yeah. And so I spent a lot of time updating Tony people because when I created the Understanding Women original video, I only talked about women in gathering mode, and most women are in hunting mode most of the time now. Mm-hmm. And being able to tell what mode a woman is in is essential, because what works in hunting mode does not work in gathering mode, and vice versa. It just doesn't. It's like what works on a Mac does not work on a PC. And she's a PC. Oh, now she's a Mac. Wait, how'd she end up a PC again? Wait. And we're confused too, because we're like in Mac mode, and we're intuitive and connective and open to possibilities and creative, and we just love being that way. And all of a sudden we're going to get that done. Okay, we got to get this done. We got to what happened? How did I get here? I was so happy over here, and in love and connected and patient, and how did I turn into this person? Yeah. Oh, it was easy. Someone just said, you have 5 minutes, and then we're leaving. That's all that had to happen. You ran out of plenty of time. You have plenty of time, you get to be that person. You don't have plenty of time, chop, hand that to me. Why didn't you get that? Where is that? You were supposed to do that. Yeah. So understanding these different modes we're in, right? And most men spend most of the time in hunting mode as well, which creates, it's a commitment, a state of commitment, focus. It causes frustration, which gets expressed, sometimes loudly. And yeah, and then you run into, when we're in hunting mode, we experience being safe when we're productive. How you doing? Crappy. I didn't get a damn thing done today. Right? Oh no, I'm good. I accomplished a lot. Yeah, I'm really good. I'm gonna enjoy my evening because I dicked it. That's my way of thinking about it. I don't know if I can say that on your show, but I did. So it's in hunting mode. It's all about productivity and accomplishment and impact, and that's what has us. I'm at peace because I've protected. I'm at peace because I've provided. I'm good. In gathering mode, we experience being safe because we're connected. We feel close. We feel intimate. We feel seen. I see you. You're seeing me. This is so yummy. Right? That's where it comes from. And so what will happen, and if we just change this one thing, it would make the biggest difference, is what will happen is someone, usually a woman, but not always, and make the same mistake. Someone's in gathering mode, and they want to connect with their loved one. And their loved one is in hunting mode, and they're focused and producing results. They're working at something, might be the dishes, right? Yeah. And so the person in gathering mode reaches out to connect with the person in hunting mode, and how they do that is by interrupting. Yeah. I want to connect now, right? Yeah. So they just walk into the office, walk into that physical space, that mental space, that emotional space, right? Could be a spiritual space. They just walk in looking for the connection. And the person who's committed and focused, focus is its own sense of peace, right? Like we all know this, right? When you're just in the work, in the accomplishment, it has its own peace around it.
Yeah.
So here this person came and disrupted our peace, disrupted our productivity, threatening our results, and we don't react well to that. We're not, oh, honey, come on in and stay a while. We're like, what?
Get out.
Not now, right? Like, and so then this attempt to connect creates a bigger disconnect, right? So now she feels even less safe, which is then going to escalate the behavior to try to create the connection, which is going to escalate the frustration. We call it a downward spiral right into the toilet. In many homes, this happened every day when someone came home from work, over and over and over again, because usually the person coming home needs transition time. They need to adjust to being home before they're able to connect, and we don't give it to them. We're going to connect immediately. Yeah. So one of the most important things that people could do, especially what's going on for those who are still stuck in the cave and working from home, is to decide when is it connection time. Yeah. And connection, the beautiful thing about hunting mode is being a committed state of mind. Everything has its time. So when it's connection time, what are they committed to? Connecting. What are they focused on? Connecting. What's the result they're out to produce? Connecting, right? So the gatherer ends up getting everything they need because it's connection time. And it's one of the things we did ask and we did tell. So just in general, on a daily basis, when would be the best time to connect? Yeah. If you had it all your way, when would we connect each day? And how long would we take to do it? And what would be the most connective for you? Like one of the best things that a man could ask a woman is, what are her favorite questions?
Absolutely.
Guys, do not ask a woman, how are you? Her integrity will compel her to report on every aspect of her being. It's not a short answer. It's not a summary. Fine. You're going to hear about my mental state, my physical state, my emotional state, my spiritual state, and the state of all the people I identify with. So you're going to hear about my dog, my horses, my donkey, my children, my best friends.
Totally.
Right? The newest thing in my work, right? So don't know, how are you? Know, how are you? If you find out what a woman's favorite questions are, they're going to be the questions that access her passion. And men taught me this. When a woman is talking about what she's passionate about, which is why the men listening are probably all having a heightened state of well-being, because I'm passionate about this. When men listen to a woman talk about what she's passionate about, they get life force from her. She's feeding them by expressing her passion. And so whether it's, what did you learn today? Or, honey, when we can just travel wherever we want to go. What's the first place you want to go? Right? So it could be some travel question. It could be, how are the grandchildren? Right? How's Annabelle today? Lit up, right? Often. Whatever. Just find out what her favorite questions are and ask them. And Greg would ask, is there anything that you want me to know about you? And so that would just cut through all the how are yous to, this is what I want you to know about me. None of the rest is important. This is what I want you to know. Or from time to time, we'd ask the question, what's it like to be you now? Because, I've been involved in transformation, like intensely involved, since I was 19 years old. We're talking 40 years of transformation. I am not the same person. Sometimes I'm not the same person day to day, right? So being with me for almost 3 decades. So what's it like to be you now? Or what do you want me to know about you now? Like he made sure he was getting updated on his wife, which is a very
Wow.
smart thing to do.
Yeah. Wow, that is incredible. And yeah, it's something that I think we all need our finger on the pulse to just know that is that your sweetheart again? He should come and say hi. No, just joking.
So
But
no,
so, you spoke
you can
then.
tell by the look on my face, right?
Yeah, yeah, I could tell.
like brightened up, got all
Exactly.
sparkly eyed.
I saw it. I
Yeah,
saw it. I saw some life force going on there. And,
it's
just on that, because you mentioned, being able to narrow down that question and have a woman, share in her life force, her passion. This is the Limitless Potential Show. And it's all about helping people reach for a new area of their potential. And you can't do that without passion. And what I love so much about being able to interview people such as yourself, who are obviously living your inspired path, you're passionate about the work that you do, you're changing lives and contributing at the highest levels. My question for you, because people listening to this who know me know my story, I had no idea what the hell I wanted to do with my life. And it's taken me a good number of years to get to the point I'm at, and I've got a whole lot going on moving forward, a lot of growth. But my question for you is, given that you've found your way onto your inspired pathway and you're accessing higher levels of your potential, what advice would you have for others who are unsure about what to do with their lives to create fulfillment and find what authentically inspires them?
oh boy. Well, I have a practical answer and a spiritual answer.
Great.
Which one do you
I
want?
want I want both.
You want both of them?
I'm probably more interested in
Uh,
the spiritual one, but we could go both. Whatever you feel called to share.
yeah. Okay, well, I can share both. Let's start with the practical one.
Yep.
Um, I would say first, create awareness of shoulds, your own shoulds, and your own true about me. And like one way to do that is to make lists, and one list that's I, and one list that's your name, because it will access a different part, right, of your identity. So I should, and just write down everything you think you should do with your life. You should do as a career. You should make out of it. I should just list anything, no matter how ridiculous it seems. I should. And then shift to Alison should, right? Vanessa should. You'd be surprised what's different in the list, what you should do versus what Vanessa should do. Yeah. And then the same thing with finishing the sentence, what's true about me is. Right? What's true about me is I'm this, I'm good at that, I'm bad at that, I'm lousy at this, I have this strength, this quality, right? Like that's what's true about me. I'll say what I mean, why that's important in a moment. And then what's true about Alison, right? So there's what's true about me and there's what's true about Alison, which when I did this exercise, it was hilarious because I heard my mother's voice, my brother's voice, right? Like what other people said was true about Alison that I picked up. Do you know, like a dog hair off a couch? I picked it up. I didn't want it, right? I sat down and stood up with that. And so and all that stuff is stuck in there and end up creating limiting beliefs and concepts, and we're making decisions from it, not true choices. We're making decisions about all that I should and Alison should and I am and Alison is. And so bringing those to awareness, then you're going to have the chance to separate, right?
Awesome.
And then the second part of that would be to keep following your nose, right? When you said, they're taking on learning the next big thing and that doesn't happen without passion, Did you know that from a neuroscience standpoint, you are absolutely correct? Do you know that?
Well,
Literally,
I
yeah,
actually study
literally.
the neuroscience of personality. So, yeah, it's a big part of the work that
Well,
I do. Yeah.
oh, good.
Mm.
Yeah, because literally, passion is what tells your passion or extreme excitement, otherwise known as terror,
Yeah.
tells your brain, pave this road. That's
Mm-hmm.
what tells your brain to reconfigure itself for that. That's how someone learns to play the piano really well. Their passion and their intention tells their brain this is important, and it literally rewires their brain so that they can play the piano. It so yeah, there is no learning without passion because the brain doesn't wake up to learn. The brain's trying to not. The brain's designed to conserve energy,
Yeah.
right? So it'd rather do. I know that. I know that. I know. I already know that. I already know that. I don't have to. We can go to sleep now, right? It's looking for what it already knows all the time.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so you're absolutely right about that. The second part, I'll be brief for at time. So the second, the spiritual answer to your question
Mm.
is, for me, what I've done is I just keep saying yes to God. I just keep saying yes. Something is put in my path. Oh, okay. I have like tests, is this a distraction or is this mine? Is that mine? Is that mine to do?
Mm.
And sometimes the reaction is like, oh, crap, that's mine to do. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, 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 yes. And that saying, um, to whom much is given, from whom much is expected.
Mm.
I think it's actually the opposite.
Mm.
From whom much is expected, to whom much is given.
Mm.
So as I've said yes to things that terrified me, I've been given the ability to do that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like I said yes, so here you go. Here's what you need. Here's what you need. Oh, you need to know how to write a screenplay. Here, now you can write a screenplay. Oh, you need to write a book. Oh, you need to be a public person. Oh, you need to walk on a stage without throwing up. Oh, you need I just have
Yeah.
been given and given and given whatever I needed after I said yes.
Mm. That is such a beautiful answer, and one I can definitely attest for living majority of my life to the expectations of the world around me, and kind of saying no to myself, saying yes to everybody, right? And so that chance to say yes to within, to God, to the universe, to your higher self, to that that higher aspect of that knowingness, I guess. um Absolutely, it's having that strength and that courage. And you mentioned, that false sense of control. I like to think of, we're all trying to chase that false sense of control in our external world, but if we just listen in, then we actually get the only certainty that we can ever have, which is that certainty of alignment with that deeper knowing within us. Of maybe it's terrifying, right? But there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of inspiration, and that's the path to follow for sure. So I want to be very
But
respectful. Oh, go ahead.
well, it's just funny, Vanessa, because it came full circle too. And if you're not in the present, you're not going to ever hear it.
Totally.
You can't tune in anytime but now.
Yeah.
So, good job.
Good job to you. And I want to be so respectful of our time. I had 1,000 more questions. I know we're not going to get to them. This has been perfect the way it's played out in our present flow. So I just want to appreciate you and acknowledge you for the beautiful woman that you are. You've got such heart, such soul, such genuineness, and I so appreciate you sharing the journey with Greg, and sharing that with all of us. It's very deeply meaningful. And thank you for being such a role model in my life, in the realm of relationships. I've learnt so much from you over the years. I'll continue to do so, and I hope to connect with you again soon. So,
Yes,
and I just
let's
wanted
do it
to
again.
definitely. Oh my gosh, we got so much we could go into. I've just put up on the screen for everybody looking at wherever they're watching from Alison's website, understandmen.com. Is there anywhere else or anything that you wanted to mention to the audience about the work, the new exciting work that you're doing, or where you'd like to push people? Share away.
Well, I would just say at the very least on our homepage, there's a sample of our Understanding Women course, and it goes into this thing, this the biggest difference between men and women in the relationship to safety that's so activated right now. And if you don't do anything else, it's free. It's a free sample. It's like 20 something minutes. What a wake up call. So at least start there.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. And we won't have time to go through all of the comments, but I just want to let Alison know she hasn't been able to see, but so many people, Gail and Wendy and Simon and Jerry, they're all saying how amazing this interview is, how much they love your work, and they're getting a ton from this. So if you do want to check out the comments later on, I'll shoot you over where you can find that. But it has been my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for spending your time here with all of us today. And I can't wait to connect again soon.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you. And
Everybody.
thanks to everybody who could join. Awesome. Okay, so thank you so much, Alison. There's this music playing right now.
I'm gonna run.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'm gonna run.
Okay,
Bye-bye.